Welcome back. I hope you had a lovely Valentine's Day yesterday. And today I have another scary video for you. This is part 2 of my ghost stories video. So if you haven't already seen part 1, then go watch that first because it'll make more sense. I'm dying to hear them. Oh, and also don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. The true horror story of the Snedeker house. The haunting in Connecticut location, Southington, Connecticut, USA year 1986. But either way, let's get into the video before we start. When they found the beautiful Georgian colonial-style house in Southington, Connecticut, they thought they hit the jackpot. It was a large house with 27 rooms, and despite the fact that the house looked like it had come straight out of a storybook, the price was 40% below market value. He explained to his parents that he had seen a ghost while playing in the hallway. He described the ghost as having glowing red eyes, long sharp fangs, and twisted ears. It looked like an emaciated humanoid with skin hanging off its bones. As Father Ahern stood in the hallway saying prayers and sprinkling holy water, a vase on a nearby table suddenly flew through the air and crashed to the ground. In the cellar, the Warrens found 2 coffins that had been cleverly concealed behind some boxes. As she descended the stairs, she heard disembodied voices whispering her name. These were malevolent spirits, malicious entities that fed on human misery and death. The spirits were drawn to the house by the nefarious activities of the previous owner, George Full. It turned out that George had been performing dark rituals and black magic in the basement, which had attracted the attention of these interdimensional demons. She continued on until she reached the far wall, where she saw a small opening that looked like it led to another room. There she saw the most horrific scene imaginable. Philip lying on an altar with the spirits gathered around him chanting in unison. With the help of the local priest, they managed to banish the spirits from the house and finally free themselves from the clutches of the evil entity. Just as they were about to carry out their dark ritual, Carmen cried out in anguish. Paranormal experts backed up their claims, and to this day, this haunting is considered one of the most disturbing supernatural cases in U.S. history. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below your favorite ghost story from parts 1 and 2. That would be great. Also subscribe if you haven't already. Bye. They left behind the horrors of the Snedeker house and all the pain and suffering that had been inflicted upon them. But the evil entity remained trapped within the house's walls, waiting for its next unsuspecting victim. Her voice echoed through the house and jolted the spirits back to reality. Startled by the intrusion, they fled, leaving Philip unharmed. As she approached the opening, the temperature suddenly dropped dramatically and the whispers grew louder. Lorraine felt a presence behind her, and when she turned around, she saw the ghastly figure from earlier standing directly behind her. When the rest of the family got into the car, Philip stayed behind to search for the dog. That was when the spirits seized their chance. They surrounded Philip, whispering sweet nothings to him and promising to cure his cancer if he would just listen to their commands. Overwhelmed by their offer and desperate for a cure, Philip agreed to do whatever they asked. The spirits then dragged him down to the cellar, where they bound him with chains and prepared to sacrifice him. Inside the coffins were the embalmed bodies of 2 young girls who had died in the early 1900s. One girl had died of the Spanish flu, and the other had succumbed to the effects of radiation after a radium treatment went wrong. The answer lay in Philip's illness. His cancer made him particularly vulnerable to the spirits, who sensed his weakened state and saw him as easy prey. They began shaking the beds and rocking the cribs. They whispered horrible commands in Philip's ear, trying to convince him to do their bidding. The family soon realized that the only way to protect Philip was to leave the house. They packed their things and fled, never looking back. The cellar also contains several embalming tools, including a pair of shears used for removing limbs and viscera. The walls themselves seemed to pulsate with evil energy. Moments later, heavy footsteps started pounding the stairs. Everyone froze as a tall, skeletal figure emerged from the darkness. Its eyes glowed an eerie red in the dim light, and it seemed to glide rather than walk. Then it vanished again. But when Philip turned around to tell his parents what he had seen, the ghost was gone. Of course, they tried to reason with him and told him that he must have just imagined the whole thing. Helen and Carmen, along with their 3 children, quickly packed up their things and moved right in. Suddenly, the basement door at the end of the hallway burst open and slammed against the wall. Nobody had opened it. Philip, who had been hiding behind his parents, peeked out from behind them and saw a tall, shadowy figure standing in the doorway. It had bloodshot eyes and grotesque features on it, hovered silently for a moment before melting into the darkness. By the way, comment down below your favorite ghost story from Part 1, or if you want to share any ghost stories yourself. Before becoming a private residence, the house had been used as a funeral home. Sure, there were a few creaks and groans from the aging house, but that was to be expected. And besides, those sounds are much better than what was to come. Not just any funeral home, though. Gee. Foe & Son Funeral Home was known throughout the area as the place that people sent their loved ones to be prepared for burial. Only the very wealthy could afford the services of the funeral home. And so when they accepted a new client, they spared no expense in making sure that their final send-off was nothing short of spectacular. That was until Mr. Foe retired and closed up shop. And then the building was converted into a private residence. Now let's get into the video. When Helen and Carmen Snedeker were looking for a new house for their family, they were looking for somewhere close to the hospital, where their son, Philip, was undergoing treatment for cancer. What the family didn't realize was that the house at 880 West Street had quite the dark history. It took only a few days for the Sneakers to realize that the house wasn't exactly what it seemed. At first, everything appeared to be normal. On the second day in the new home, young Philip, who was only 11 years old at the time, came, running out of his room screaming at the top of his lungs. That night, though, the family heard chains dragging, metal moans, and what sounded like tormented screams echoing through the halls. That was enough for the family. They immediately contacted the local priest, Father Robert E. Ahern, who came to perform an exorcism. The investigation revealed even more terrifying details about the house. Lorraine Warren felt compelled to enter the cellar alone to see what secrets it might be hiding. That's when Lorraine realized that this was no ordinary haunted house. But why did they target young Philip? What was it about him that made the spirits single him out for torment? In the coming weeks, the spirits grew bolder and more aggressive. Philip, however, refused to leave without his beloved dog. Carmen, who had gone back into the house to look for Philip, managed to break through the spirit's defenses and reach the cellar. Overcome with relief and gratitude, Carmen cradled her son and vowed to protect him from the evil that lurked within the house. As the sun rose, the family drove away from the house and never looked back. Is it real? The Snedeker family insists that what they went through was absolutely real. So what do you think? Do you believe the story of the Snedeker family? Let me know your thoughts.